everyone. This is Hannah Fletcher with MUSE TV, and I'm speaking with Amber Afzali from Rule Breakers. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. So, first of all, kind of right before we started rolling, just like I was saying, you've been doing so much press. You've been talking so much about this film, understandably so. We're going to dive into it here in just a moment. But how are you feeling? I just want to kind of kick it off with just asking that question.
I'm thrilled. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to chat with you. It's been incredible. It's been really busy, but in the best possible way. I always say that when you're asking the universe to eat and then they give you a bunch of food on a plate, you can't complain when your plate is full. Like you just gotta eat. You just gotta move it and eat, and you just gotta roll with the punches. So it's been really good. I'm excited to talk about Rule Breakers. I've been excited to talk about Rule Breakers in every interview so far. And people have been really positive about the film. So it feels good. It's good. Yeah.
I'm so excited for you. I'm a sucker for an origin story. So I'm going to ask you the question of obviously, how did you find yourself getting into acting and stepping into this space? I think that you have a very unique story. I would love for you to share it with our audience, and then we'll obviously get into the film.
Yeah, it's definitely, I would say it's definitely pretty unique because of how quickly things happen for me. So I did acting when I was younger, and it was something that my parents threw me into because they wanted me to break out of my shell. I was a very shy kid. And so they threw me into acting to break out of my shell, and turns out I really love it. And there was like even a moment, there was a specific moment when I was in an acting class, and we were going around doing these little presentations, these like commercial type skits. And I went and I did mine, and I was so nervous, but I like found peace in it. And I used my nerves as adrenaline to do the scene. And at the end of it, I got this little like bear statue award for like best presentation. And I was like 8 or 9. And so then I ran home and I gave that to my mom. And it just felt so validating that the space that I found that I could be creative and that I liked so much kind of liked me back. It was nice. It felt validating in that sense. But I put it off to the side just because it is a lot of work as a kid. And I definitely wanted education is such an important focus in my family. So I really wanted to be able to give that my all. So put acting on the back burner and went for towards the educational route. Ultimately, I went to Penn, studied political science and psychology. There was a pandemic, in which I was back in California, and I was back for a long time, for like 11 months, even after the pandemic somewhat ended or was on the tail end. It was still my school still didn't have us back because schools didn't know how to operate with the fear of COVID. So I was still back, but I went to an acting class, masks and all, an acting class, and it went really, really well. I would just wanted to see if I'd still had the passion for it, if it still resonated with me, and if I still had a knack for it. And it turns out I did. And then shortly after, I was connected with my manager, and this was my first audition. Did a callback in Mexico, booked it. And it just, when something happens so seamlessly, it feels like the stars are really aligning and you're on the right path, and you didn't have to force it. It's just like, this is what you're meant to be doing. So I'm going to keep doing this for as long as I love it, and I love it.
I love that for you. That's why I read your story and I thought that that was so great, and that's why I really wanted you to share that because I just think it's so great. I'm a huge I don't know. I'm in my like upper 20s. I'm about to turn 28. So like my biggest thing in life right now is like I'm looking at like self-help, self-growth, like divine alignment, like all of that stuff. So I geek out. I could riff for hours on just like the idea of how basically what is meant for you doesn't miss you. So I love your story. I think it's so great. Also, I went to school in Philly as well, so I understand. Like,
You
it was very
really?
fun. I loved
That's
it. It was so
cool.
fun. I was at the University of the Arts though, but I know that I ended up near UPenn and like the Drexel area a bunch. It was very, it's so fun to go to school in Philly. I
It's
loved
fun
it.
in Philly.
Um,
It's nice because campuses kind of intertwine with city life. So you just feel
yes,
like,
you feel
yeah,
like
it's really nice.
it's just interesting. I loved
You're
it.
in
So
it.
I love that we can connect on that level as well. And I love that you also went and had the opportunity to take a class and like you said, masks and all and everything like that. And here you are. So fast forward. So this is your first audition. You're connected with your manager. You have a call back in Mexico. Also, I mean, Angel Studios is massive. They continue to grow and have even more and more of a presence. I love what they're doing. I love the stories that they tell. What was it like also knowing, did you know that this project was specifically with Angel or what were you privy to? What were you not?
So actually, this project wasn't even picked up by Angel until much later after the completion date. So we filmed this, we shot this all as like an independent film. Bill Guttentag, director, incredible director, by the way. He didn't really, we were going into talks, and he would whether this film would go in the festival route or the theater route, or like how it would go. And it was just kind of up in the air, and we were just making a film that we knew was important, that we knew we all loved, and that we were excited to share with the rest of the world. But we didn't entirely know what the direction of the film was going to be after completion. So ultimately, I mean, after everything happened, after we finished filming, after all of the post-production, after the strikes and everything, then I think is when we came to a deal with Angel Studios. They picked up the film and they decided to go a theatrical release route with it. And I'm really grateful that they went that route, because I think it's important to watch this movie in theaters. It has that intensity of a theater film.
Absolutely. And you can even tell that straight out the gate, even if you just watch the trailer. That's why I didn't even realize that you guys went. There's several different ways, obviously, that people can go with films. I love that this is the way that it ended up going for you guys, though. That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you. I like have the chills. Talk to me a little bit about obviously this film. This film is based on a true story. What were your non-negotiables going into this? How did you collaborate with the cast? How did you collaborate with the director to really obviously, again, it is a very important film. It highlights women in such a light. I love the premise of the film, especially with robotics and everything. It just pushes boundaries and highlights so many different aspects of society that we need to continue to talk about. So, what did the process look like on your end of things?
For me, I think a big portion of why I signed up to do this film and why I was interested in doing the film was because they seem to value authenticity a lot. We had Alaha, who was the movie is based off of Roya Mahbub. Alaha Mahbub is her sister. So Alaha was one of the writers of the screenplay. Roya was one of the producers of the film. So you had a lot of people who valued authenticity, and especially Betty May casting. They value authenticity a lot. You could see that in a lot of their projects. So it just, to me, the high emphasis of authenticity was what really sucked me in, and I was like, I want to be a part of this project, and that was kind of a non-negotiable for me. I wanted to make sure that we weren't doing like a stereotypical portrayal of Afghanistan that we typically see in Western media, of like the very dismal, very sad and depressing and oppressive and war-torn region. I wanted it to have color and life and humanize the people of Afghanistan. And that's really what this film was able to do. So I'm very grateful for that. And they were pretty open to collaboration, especially Bill, which I really appreciate. Bill and Samudrika, Samudrika is one of the producers. They took our considerations a lot of times, and working with the cast, we all kind of fed off the energy of each other, and we all had recommendations for each other and kind of collaborated on how a scene would work better. And that was pretty good. I think it flowed seamlessly, and I'm grateful that everybody was so interested in collaborating and in being like a team player. And it went really well, even to the down to the point of like Bill asking me, what songs do you think the girls would have listened to at this time? And I'm like,
Love
oh,
that.
Ariana Saeed, like famous Afghan singer. And so he was always open and he asked us questions. It was a good time to be on set. It's a good, especially for a first timer on set. I feel like I've won the lottery, got the golden ticket.
You really did. Is there any fear that you have moving forward? Obviously, that your career is just going to continue to go from here, especially again with the caliber of your performance mixed with the quality of the production, the cast, especially even the collaboration. Is there a fear that you have somewhere in the back of your mind that you're not going to achieve this particular like level of camaraderie and like you said you hit the lottery. I mean, or maybe fear is kind of even a poor way to phrase it, but you're obviously
Yeah.
hoping that you could get this in a nutshell moving forward with each project, I'm sure.
I think I'm going to aim to get this in every project
Right.
going forward, but they've
Yeah.
set the bar really high. And I think as like a new actor, like at that time, now I've been auditioning for quite some time and like have gotten, my foot in the industry. But at that time, I was like, wow, this is how it's going to be every single time, and it's going to be great. And and I think now going forward, I am kind of hoping that that'll be my experience on set. But if it's not, I've heard stories too from people who haven't had that beautiful of a time that I did. Not to say it wasn't great, but it wasn't as great as my time was on set. So I think I'll just go in with it optimistically, but understand that every person is different, every set is different, every vibe of the film is different. So I can't compare apples to oranges sometimes. I'm just gonna have to roll with the punches and be like, this is that type of film. This is that type of film. And so I don't let those things, like, even if there isn't that camaraderie, I don't usually let those things get me down because I always see it like there's a bigger plan, there's a bigger picture to why that is the way that it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I want to touch as well on the idea that with this film, the feedback has been amazing. And I've been watching and just like kind of following along with this whole press run of everything that you all have been doing, and I think you guys are killing it. What has been your reaction figuring out people's real-time reactions? Because now the film is starting to really be shown in more of a mass scale. It's in theaters, which is massive. So what has this been like for you to kind of start to really receive all of this feedback now and start to really see? And we were talking even before we started rolling about amazing scores that are coming in from critics and from audiences as well. What is this like for you in real time?
I'm thrilled. I'm just thrilled that everyone is resonating with the film as much as they are. Everyone takes something different away from this film. Whether you are from the Afghan community and you take away the new image of Afghanistan that is being shown in Western media with authentic Afghan actors and actors from the region. You know, we have Iranian, Moroccan, like Kurdish, like people from that region. It's just beautiful to see that authenticity represented on screen. If you are a girly in STEM or a girly in a male-dominated field or industry, you also understand it and you take away that resilience and that perseverance from the film. Everybody takes something different away from the film. So it's beautiful to see that everyone can resonate and connect with the film. We've had amazing reviews, even in person. Like I've watched the theater a couple times. I mean, I've watched the movie a couple times in theaters with family, with friends,
Love
and we've
that.
had some people who are in the audience who would be like, "Oh my gosh, she's is that Essa? Like, is that her from the movie?" Yeah, it's been crazy because then they'll come up to me and say like a story about how this film really mattered to them because they have a parent who passed, or this story really mattered to them because they have daughters and they're very worried about like where they're going to end up and what their career is going to be, and they don't want them to feel disheartened ever. So everybody is taking something different away, and it's beautiful to see that it's resonating with them. The scores have been incredible too. I mean, numbers aren't everything, but it's just been incredible that people are going out of their way, like the audience score, to rate the film and to give it such positive feedback. It's been just wonderful to see. I'm just glad that it's reaching the amount of people that it's reaching and that it's the word is spreading about how great this film is, because it's a film that finally portrays um, light and hope in Afghanistan. So I'm happy for people to see it. It's been really, really beautiful.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that, like you said, I'm so glad that this exists because of the way that it obviously portrays the light and the hope and everything like that. I think that that's extremely important. And I really hope that this sets the precedent to continue to open up more stories and to be able to tell more stories. Heck, especially with you, and then, just the way that everything's going for you. Maybe you'll be able to act and produce one day and be able to continue to tell more stories just like this one. That'd be amazing. I would love that. I'm rooting for you for that. I will
Thank
manifest
you.
it, pray it, everything.
Love that.
I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I would love to give you the opportunity to plug any social media regarding yourself, the film, anything like that, so our viewers can continue to stay up to date with everything that's going on as Rule Breakers continues to make a severe and amazing impact in the media.
Absolutely. No, if you want to follow along the film and see where it's being released and how the feedback is and the what people are saying about the film and maybe some behind the scenes shots, definitely follow at Rule Breakers Film on Instagram. They are posting stuff like almost daily, so definitely go give them a follow. And then if you want to follow me, see what I'm up to, see any latest projects that I'm working on, see any behind the scenes footage or some promotional tours type of content, go ahead and give me a follow at Amber Afzali. That's just my name, last name Afzali. Super simple, super easy to remember. But yeah, and I really hope everyone gets a chance to go see this in theaters because it is so important to support our local theaters.
Yes, absolutely. That too. Thank you so much, Amber, for your time, and thank you again for this piece of media. I'm very excited for everybody to be able to see this film, and make sure that you guys give Amber a follow, give the film a follow, and see it in a theater near you. Thank you again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.